Hello viewers. So first of all, as per the course, I told you that we're going to take the input into our program today. So just take a note of this few things, that when we need to take an output, we are going to use a printf function, and this is the syntax for a single statement. You can just use it with the double quotes. Okay. And when you're printing a variable, okay, why I'm stressing on variable here, because the value of that particular variable will keep on fluctuating. Okay, so it can be something at first line, and then you can assign a new value to the same variable, and then its value will be changed into second line. So for that, when you need to take the output of that particular values in that specific variable, we will use the token to represent it. Okay, and that token will take the values from that particular variable and print it out onto your console. Similarly, in this print function, you can take simultaneously the statement as well as the that variable values. You can just print them simultaneously. Okay, here are the two examples for that. You can just directly use it into your program. Okay, and that will be very much clear for you, how the print function can take the output for your particular variables. Okay, now for the input process, we will use the scanf function. Okay, the syntax over here is this: we use the scanf keyword, okay, then the function parentheses, and after that we assign the token first. Okay, the token is assigned first, then we use the ampersand operator, and with that we assign the variable which we have declared above. Okay. You can see it from the example here. In example, we have declared this particular x as a variable. Okay, now I want to input a value to it from my console, from any other thing from which I want to just enter a value to it. So what I'm going to use it, the type of the variable is integer. Okay, so the token here will be assigned as %d. Okay, and this particular x, when we run the program, it allocates this particular variable a memory space. Okay, so at that particular memory space, there is an address to identify that particular memory block. Okay, so what you do is, you don't know actually that which memory block is being assigned to x. So what you directly do is, you use this particular operator. This represent the address of this particular variable. Okay, when you use it along with it, what it does is, it returns the address of that particular value. So when you're passing this value, the %d, any value, it will be passed to this particular value at this particular address. Okay, this particular variable will get the value from this at this particular address. Okay, similarly, you can take the multiple inputs in a single line and a single scanf statement through this. Okay. Now, few important things that you need to remember is, as I told you, that this and assigned with that particular variable represent the address of the variable to which the input has to be assigned. Look, when you are making a program and when it runs, it consumes some memory. Each and every program does. Even your Windows does this. When you boot your system, it takes some of part of that RAM for its processing. Similarly, all the software that you design will take some of the other part of the memory for its processing. The point is, as it is running after the booting of the Windows, so it doesn't know which particular location of memory is going to be allocated to that particular program. Okay, so when you assign a variable that is an empty block from where you are going to take a value, or you're going to insert a value to it, so what that whole thing is, that particular memory block that it will get from that particular set of RAM or the memory will be identified through its address, not directly with the name, because there might be like 16, 15 or more than 100x with the same name. So how do you identify the particular thing? Through its address. That creates precision and not the loss of the values that a user will input. Secondly, the program running at that particular point of time does not have value. So anything that will go to it will be after the execution of the program. Anything that you will enter will be after the execution of the program. Okay, so when your program is executed, it has already taken some memory for the process. So to identify that particular memory block, you use this sign with the variable to identify that particular address to which you are going to assign the value. Okay, and as the program is running, you have assigned the value. When you call it back to print that particular value, you don't use the address. Why? Because at that particular address you have assigned a value. By default it will take that value only to represent the thing. So for that you don't have to specifically call in this particular value set. Okay, and this thing will be much more clear when we move on to later chapters where we'll be using the pointers and arrays, and in between you will be interacting with all these things for multiple times, so it will be very much clear for you. Okay, if any doubts you have, you can just comment down and you can just ask me. I'll just throw a video about it in a much more clear way, and I'll try to explain it in a much more deeper way. Okay, so let's get started, and before that just like and subscribe my channel so you can get all the updates at a very cool instance. Okay, so let us start with this. I'll get in some preprocessors. inclde include stdio.h. Sorry, slippery fingers. .h. Let's stick with the integer main. So what we need is that we need an integer a, then a character b, then a float c, and a double t. Okay, so these are a variable. Okay, declaring, oh sorry, declaration of variables. Okay, so these are the variables which we have taken for a program, and in these variables we are going to assign some values. The important thing is I've told you about what all these data types are, what all these variables are. You can call them as an identifiers as well. So how do they work, what type of memory they take, these all I have told you in my second video where we have talked about the components of C and C++. Okay, so here after taking this I'm going to start with a statement. Important part is that the statement creates awareness about the program to the user who is going to use it. Okay, just make one point very much specific about yourself, that whenever you are making a software or making a program, it has to be very much centric towards the user interface set. Like it should be very much made by taking a focus of how a third person will use your program. So the information should be very much clear through your statements. Procedure should be very much clear through your statements. Okay, so it is very much said a good programmer is always the one who puts a meaningful statement for the programmer. Okay, so let's get with this. Enter the following with respective values. Okay, now printf, let us integer. Okay, now we're going to use a scan function. I've told you before what is the syntax of the scan function is. Okay, if you have any confusion you can just go back, just push your video a bit back and you can just recall all those things. Okay. I have a sore throat. Percentage a and t. Okay, this is for the integer. Now let's go for the character. So here is the tricky part for the character. Look, if you are using it with the scan function, always put a space. Okay, just put a space, because many times the tokens does not identify them directly. So just put a blank space, so it will separate it from the double quotes, and then you can easily use that particular variable or to determine the particular character type or other things. It gradually doesn't throw the error. Okay. Slash float percentage f comma and c. Here we have printf slash n double type float. So what's the difference between a float and a double type float? Look, this, as I told you in my previous videos, that the double stand for the independent type of value. So you can use a specific data type with the double token to initialize the value to it and to take a printout out of it. It just increases the length of the existing variable. Okay, so I'm taking here a float decimal type, so I'll get a much more precise range above this particular float value. Okay. Now let's do it percentage lf long float and percentage d. I think that will work. Yeah, that's the variable. Okay, so I have taken all the input in a particular variables which I was declared above. Okay, here I have used scan function to insert the values into it. Now I'm going to check whether the inserted values are exactly inserted into the program or not. So for that, taking output of the program, oh sorry, not the program, taking output of the values inserted by the user. Okay, so I'm going to use integer is equals to percentage d double quotes comma a okay printf oh not the f, it is c. Yeah, sorry. Printf slash equals to %lf st. Okay, let's do the get ch and return 0 with this thing. So let's compile the program. It got a mistake of spelling, yeah, typo. So I have no warning, no error, and let's proceed with this thing. So the statements are very much clear. So it is asking me to insert an integer value, so I have inserted 12 as an integer value. Now the character, I am taking a as a character. Float, I'm going to take 12.2345. okay, and for a double float type I'm going to take it like 1.2345678 so here we are. I have got exactly what I have entered. So that means my insertion of the values are very much okay with all the things, and I'm getting a perfect value inserted into all the points. Okay, so here we are. Through this, it is very much clear you can take input from the user at any point and you can publish it back at any point of time. I hope this whole set of program is clear with you all, that how to take input from the user into your program. Okay, if you have any doubts, you can just comment down into the comment box. If you think you need much more detailed things or detailed video about any of the topics, you can just comment down and I'll just see to it. Okay, till then, take care.